Welcome to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Miley Scarpino, and I'm here with a special guest today. He's a big character. I'm here with Woodie Milks. He's an AP Gov teacher at ELNE, also a soccer coach. Yeah?
Yeah, well, I took this past season off to coach a club team. So,
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, now you do.
Now I do.
I'll keep you better informed.
So there we go. He's also somebody I spent a lot of time with growing up, kind of like at ELNE. Yeah, you were my teacher, and
2 years.
Spent a lot of time in there studying and learned a lot from him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And homeroom. You're
yes,
in my homeroom.
and your homeroom.
Right.
And so Woody's still teaching today, and so this show is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. We're going to kind of talk about technology and how that's affecting the young minds today, because there's a lot more technology in the classroom, and Woody sees it firsthand, and I hear about it now and then, like these gosh darn iPads and cell phones, and
it's not all bad. There's positives and negatives, but I'm getting used to it too. Part of working with the technology is over time, like balancing what can be done with it and what are the negatives or the hindrances. For example, I find the kids like to play games, right? And so you want to make them accountable for doing the work, but if they're distracted by the games, what do? Right?
Distracted by the games, like on their phone or their iPad during class.
Yeah.
First, before we get into this, why don't you talk about who you are, so we can have like a background of who you are and where you came from. And
I am a local boy, half Japanese, half Haole. My parents, both. My dad's from the mainland. Met my mom in law school. She's from Hawaii. Been here for, I guess, I'm 43. So except for college, my entire life. I was born in D.C., moved back here with my parents when they moved here after law school. And
both your parents are judges, right?
No, my mom's a retired judge. My dad just retired as an attorney.
Okay.
Just ended his bar membership, I believe, on December 31st. So now he's working out of the house.
Okay.
He has an office, actually, in my home. So, because he lives next door. And so he turned one of the rooms in his old house into an office. So he's doing work with the credit union and doing some like pro bono stuff from the house. So he's working hard, but retired as a lawyer. And my mom is working in mediation arbitration and traveling a lot. So she's a great lady. She loves to travel. So she works, saves up some time and money, and then travels. She's in Naples right now.
Oh, that's an awesome way to do it.
And so went to school in Hawaii. And always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I was always very respectful and admired and idolized the men and women who were my teachers and coaches, and I knew that I wanted to do that.
Why was that, though?
I liked their energy, I liked their intelligence, I liked their value system and the decisions they made about wanting to spend time with kids and coaching and teaching. And I liked the lifestyle. I got to be honest. Right now I'm on spring break.
What's lifestyle like? Because the only reason why I'd ever want to be a teacher is so that I could give people tests and be like, haha, this is what happened to me.
No, that's the worst thing. No, that's been very vindictive of you. Don't do that. The lifestyle is great. What I mean is you wake up early, you go to work, you're working with great colleagues, intelligent, hardworking teachers who share a lot of your values, and I think they're intelligent, fun to talk to, and they care about people. And then the kids you're with, and I teach at ELNE, the kids are very, very smart and hardworking from good families. And so you cultivate good relationships, and there's a good energy on campus. And it's healthy, in my opinion, right? That people are there to learn and be good to each other. And then, at 3 o'clock or 3:30, my boss, I'm there till 4. No, you're pretty much done at a decent hour, and the culture is, hey, go coach, work out, and then the hours are great, and then the vacations are fantastic. There's a lot of 4-day weeks. You're working hard while you're there, and taking papers home to grade and whatnot, but your summers are off, and I've pretty much decided I'm going to start being what's called summer retired, where I used to work a lot over the summer.
And you used to teach summer school.
Teach summer school.
Right.
Then
coach soccer.
Yeah, soccer camp in the afternoon. And I think I'm at that point now where I'd rather kind of recharge my batteries over the summer and travel.
Because balance is so important in your life. In order to do well in other aspects, you need time off to recharge.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the things we really try to impress upon students at ELNE is to be a lifelong learner. And so I also think, taking classes, for example, pursuing degrees or going to conferences or to seminars, reading a lot of books, just being an expert in your topic.
But you said a lot of stuff that's like more so, I don't even know what the term would be, but it's not hands-on experience. Like, don't you think it's more important to have like hands-on experience and be out there in the community and actually doing things than being in a classroom? Or I know for me, like being in grad school right now, going and working with clients at drug court, I learned so much more than actually sitting in the classroom and listening to my professor lecture for a couple hours.
Yeah, I think you're applying things that are important to learn in the classroom as well. I mean, you don't want to go cold into an environment drug court.
Oh, no, of course
Clearly,
not.
you'll pick things up.
Right.
I think it's important. You get some tools, you learn some of the ins and outs, intricacies of that issue, and then you go and you experience it hands-on. Absolutely. I think that's good for students in any environment. At Iolani, I know that the administration is doing a good job of providing opportunities. Like there's a hospice class that we have at Iolani. I think it's just a wonderful idea to expose kids to things like that, doing a lot more with getting out in the community. I don't know if I got the term right, but the 1 mile concept that at Iolani, we want to improve our community within a 1 mile radius of the school. And so Allison Blankenship, she's working with the Sullivan Center, and they're going out and working with kids at Alawai School, or maybe I believe the elderly on campus, and we're doing things with the Alawai Canal and the Pololo Stream that enters the Alawai Canal. And I think it's called phytoremediation with biology. So then the kids get that kind of hands-on thing is great. And then working with the younger students. So I agree with you 100% that kids getting out there and experiencing things hands-on is the way to go. At the same time, I don't think you forget the importance of what happens in the classroom, right? Giving them the tools, the skills to go and do it better.
Use, right? Yeah, and be able to apply.
Right, clearly playing basketball in a game or playing soccer in a game is the best way to learn it, but at a certain point you need activities that have repetition, that ingrain those instincts in you. I kind of, even though I'm a teacher, I tend to think of coaching more than I do teaching.
Well, because teaching and coaching they're really similar on some degree.
I think the best coaches are also teachers, not that they profession-wise, but in their approach to the game, that they teach skills, they teach strategy, teach tactics, and they're thinking about how their players are learning, the
what
game.
They're teaching
Right.
and what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's,
What's your teaching style?
in the classroom?
Yeah.
Well, I think I need to make adjustments myself, and I think if in the last couple of years I've struggled a bit, and I thought we'd talk about that a little bit today as well, that I think kids are changing, and I think it's important that I start realizing that my style needs to change as well. My approach needs to change as well. Whereas I thought years ago, be an expert in your topic, be enthusiastic, show energy, be interesting, and the kids, it'll resonate with the kids.
So how did you used to be interesting? Like, what would you do to keep people intrigued and involved? And
well, as a history teacher,
I know the answer. But
okay. Well, as a history teacher, I like the idea of stories, and making a connection to the students for them, seeing how those episodes or events in the past can influence decisions that affect their lives and how to learn from them. And I think it's interesting. It's like a good movie, right? I think reality is sometimes better than the fiction, that you study that stuff, it's fun, it's interesting. And I would want kids to be like, hey, that's cool. I want to learn about that. I want to find out who Benjamin Franklin is or who Amelia Earhart is. And they learn the story and interest them. Maybe they're heroes or even villains. But I think with technology, not to jump around, there's my attention deficit is hitting in there, but all the stuff going on in my head. But the kids nowadays, I don't think have that same kind of interest in the stories as they used to, or that they're not as willing to listen to me tell a story for that long, right? I kind of want to turn the classroom more over to them and let them do it on their own.
Let them facilitate what's going to go on or be discussed. Or
Yeah, and to my fault, I was much kind of more of a lecturer, asking questions, getting a dialogue going with students. And I think that model is changing a bit. where with students having access to an iPad with this wealth of information available at their fingertips instantly, that the paradigm's changing a little bit, that you kind of have to say, all right, you guys just kind of discover it on your own with this iPad. So I've got to make adjustments as well, and I think the school's doing a good job, and it's going to be a process, helping us realize that the students are learning a little bit differently, and we have to teach a little bit differently. Right? And it's something that's going to happen moving into the 21st century. Right? That the old dinosaur, the lecture style teaching is not going to be as effective.
You should talk to my grad teachers because they definitely still do the dinosaur lectures. But it's true.
They might be watching this. She still wants an A.
Sorry.
Okay. All right.
But it's true because I never really thought about that you guys are from a different generation, and so the way
that old.
the way that you teach is what you were the manner in which you were taught how to teach. It's what you know. And you didn't have that wealth of information. You didn't have a computer. You had to go get books or go to the library, and that takes a lot more energy than just sitting there and listening to a lecture. Whereas now it's easy to go get on a computer or get on your iPad and just type in whatever you need and read it through.
Yeah, I see that. I think what you're saying too is a lot of times going to class was an information gathering session or sharing with your teacher that you understood the information. Now, if the information can be accessed instantly in front of them, then it's about developing skills and critical thinking in the classroom and helping them that way. I still think there's students that it works, like they want to be given information or something explained differently. One teaching thing that I thought was effective in the past or I liked was, here's what the textbook is saying. Did you understand it? Let me explain it a different way or add to it, right? Different points of view from whatever the narrative was in the text, or say, hey, not only would that happen, but meanwhile in Germany, or meanwhile in another part of the country, this was happening, right? So there are students that still like that style, right? Hey, there's an expert, she's telling me, you're studying psychology, right? And so sometimes someone will explain the Myers-Briggs to you or whatever, and you need an expert to explain that to you, and you take your notes and go, that makes sense. And then she tells a story. When I've used that approach, or when I've used that model with patients, this is how I found it helped, this is how I found it hurt, whatever. And so you learn from that teacher's or that professor's experiences. And so even though it's lecturing, you're hearing some things that go, okay, I like that, Never thought of it that way, right? That's, sometimes as a teacher, I like to think that moment, the aha moment, or when something clicks or you feel like the kids are like, oh, I see it, right?
That's interesting that you said that, and then what popped in my mind is I feel like now some people are kind of stingy with information, though. Does that make sense? Like some experts aren't. I feel like some of my professors don't really tell you everything from. It may be because I'm in psychology and you can't really disclose a lot of stuff that happens with your patients.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't feel like some people are very upfront anymore with the information that they have. Like they're not willing to give it all to you, or.
Yeah, I think that might be also your field. I mean, I think you're with confidentiality. You're seeing. Maybe your professors are saying, hey, look, there's a great story I'd like to tell, but I've got to be very careful about disclosing certain information. But I think generally your professors would want to share as much as they could.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what stinginess, like, I don't know what you mean by that.
Just like withholding information or not really, wanting you to find your way or the way that's going to work for you rather than giving their own experience so that it doesn't infringe upon your experience or shape the way that you may experience something.
Okay, maybe they're saying
so maybe it's not even stingy, maybe it's just
they're maybe allowing you to find your own way, right? And that's why you go into drug court or you do a lot more hands-on stuff and you find out for yourself what you want to do.
We're going to take a short commercial break. This is the Empower Hour. I'm Ms. Scarpino. I'm here with Woodie Milks today, and we will be back shortly.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevlin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Welcome back to the Empower Hour, guys. I'm your host, Miley Scarpino. I'm here with Woodie Milks, AP Gov teacher.
Well, actually,
No. Am I wrong again?
No, you're not wrong.
He used to be the AP Gov teacher. He was my AP Gov teacher, and I figured you wouldn't change because you're such a good teacher in that area.
Well, I moved to teaching freshmen and juniors.
So you're a Gov teacher, but not an AP.
No, I went to History of the Modern World. It's okay.
Okay.
You didn't know. I'm now going to be teaching freshmen. And remember how U.S. history used to be for juniors?
Yes.
We've changed U.S. history to be taught to sophomores.
Why did that change happen?
Well, I think it was a good decision. We found that if you're teaching certain skills and a way of approaching the coursework to freshmen, you want to what's called scaffold or build on those skills from one year to the next and have an idea for an Iolani student or for any student from freshman year to senior year. Here's our plan with what we want. There's an idea, a curriculum set in place that with steps and a protocol, and we're building the best students we can. And if you have a course in freshman year that all the students take, and then sophomore year is for electives, there was we found it didn't make a lot of sense. Then you make everybody take the same class their junior year. So by moving the U.S. history course to the sophomore year, we can build on those skills from freshman year to sophomore, and then open up their junior and senior year to the electives that use the skills they developed the freshman and sophomore year.
It makes more sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it was a good decision.
So when you make these decisions, is it a panel, or how do you guys make these decisions?
The department gets together and we talk. It's a very collaborative effort on the part of the teachers at Iolani. The administration is very, very good about, knowing that at the end of the day, the people best equipped to make these decisions are the teachers themselves. And so they really do empower us to say, hey, what do you think is your plan or idea for this course or for this decision? And we discuss it and have a lot of meetings, too many meetings. Meetings. They're okay, they're important. But so we say, here's our recommendation, and the department head then goes to, moving up the level to a group of department heads, and they share it within the administrators, the dean of faculty and the dean of curriculum and the head of school himself. And they say, hey, look, the teachers recommended this. We believe it's a good idea, and it's approved. I don't know the exact way it's done, but it was very, came from the teachers, and we believe that this was the best way.
And every school works like this?
I'm not sure. Okay. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I do know that.
Because your whole career you've been at Iolani, correct?
No, I started at St. Louis my first 8 years. Right out of college, I moved back to Honolulu from DC. I went to GW, George Washington in DC. And I came back to Honolulu and I got a sub position, long-term sub position the second semester at St. Louis. And I just kept that position. This guy, he actually went into the computer business. In fact, maybe Mr. Fidel knows him. I'm sure he does. This was 20-something years ago, believe it or not. Been teaching my entire life. And so was there for 8 years coaching soccer, and then a position opened up at Iolani, my alma mater, and I was fortunate enough to get that. And in a lot of ways, I thought it would be something I'd do the rest of my life, that, I'd be a lifer, that, barring a problem, that I'd be doing that forever. But you never know. I think that was the idea, but maybe I'll make a change. I think changes are good.
Like what kind of change?
I'm not sure.
You'll go teach math.
No. Maybe not teach. I spent a lot of time, my dad and I, one of my best friends, and he and I think that maybe I should find something where I have even a greater passion for it. I think coaching, and so maybe I'm thinking go after a coaching position somewhere, or being an athletic director somewhere, or running a soccer club. I don't know. What I do know is that doing the same thing for 20 years, and maybe I need to take a sabbatical. I think that might be the answer. Is recharge.
Recharge.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier.
Balance.
Maybe I need more than 3 months.
How do you
4
think?
years.
Do you think like passion is really important? Obviously, it's really important, but why is it really important?
Well, the people you work with are going to know whether you care about what you're doing, right? So if you don't have the passion for the subject, I mean, I always thought one of the most important things for a teacher is actually to love their topic. I mean, if you have a math teacher, you want that math teacher.
Okay, we have to stop right there.
Oh,
Why do you like government? Why do you like history?
Well, the stories. I mean, it's you watch a good movie, right? You like watching movies. When I read a textbook, there is this great movie happening that's U.S. history or European history or Japanese history. They're great stories.
And even AP Gov. AP Gov was pretty dense. It's more like
Dense in a
systematic.
good way. Yeah, well, the government, you could think about how people relate to each other. Like, you and your future husband are a two-person government, right? There's rules, there's laws, there's give and take. And so when you think about, the U.S. government, it's how we, the people, are building something to, help each other. There's a social contract that we all are in this together, and we're building something in a democracy. I think it's fun, it's fascinating, and that's the government part. And then the politics part is how people interrelate. Interest groups and the media, and we're all doing as a part of this too, in the media, sharing our ideas, trying to nudge the policy or where this country's going, where we as individuals are going. It's fascinating. I mean, like every day, it's government. You're driving on a street, right? It's paved. There's street lights. There's parks. People paid to mow the
and that
grass.
was all decided by the government.
Yeah, somebody somewhere along the way said, "Hey, we should have a park," or there's, how about this? Whose responsibility is it to replace the sand if it's eroding from Waikiki Beach? Is it all of our jobs, or should the hotel that fronts that beach be more responsible because they're going to most benefit? Should the Hawaii tourism? These are good questions. In my class the other day, we were talking about, and this was in U.S. history, so it is kind of related, haiku stairs, right?
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a public resource that should be made available to Hawaii citizens? Or does the Board of Water Supply say, hey, look, that's on our land. We don't want the liability issues, so we want to have a security guard there to prevent people from accessing the stairs. Meanwhile, there's residents in that area who have legitimate concerns about litter and noise and trespassing. And so you have all these interests, and sometimes you need an entity or governments to look in there and resolve it, find a resolution, a solution that makes, you hope, the most people happy, right? Protecting the environment, sustainability is all things that individuals might not be able to do by themselves. You need something a little bit bigger or more powerful or greater.
To come in and help out.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, when you go to drug court, I mean, that's government, right?
Yep.
So it's the society's trying to help young men, or not necessarily young, but people who got into some trouble, and we decided they broke some laws, but we want to help them out a little bit. It's the one where, not the 3 strikes you're out, but you try to give them counseling, realize that maybe they broke the law because
our program is a little bit different. It's for people that maybe aren't going to do well in parole. For various different reasons, and
usually substance abuse issues.
Yeah,
Okay.
but some people are capable of going into parole, and our clients
Parole. Okay.
Sorry, parole. I need to work on my
Enunciate.
enunciation. So we bring in people that maybe aren't fit for parole, and they would do better in a more structured environment,
Like a drug treatment facility, or
right? Or where they're going to learn about how to interact with people correctly, how to control their anger, how to interview for a job, how to
really?
do their
Okay.
homework and be responsible and
So why is
stuff
it
like
called
that.
drug court? Is it?
It is because it's the drug court. It's the district court, but then there's 3 different courts in there. There's veterans court, drug court, and there's another court, but I forget what it's called.
Excuse my ignorance, but why is it called drug court? I mean, they committed drug crimes, or they have
Yeah, it's
substance abuse
it's a
issues?
substance,
Okay.
substance abuse.
I always thought it was, I should know this. I always thought
You
there was a
should know
drug
this.
crime, and rather than throw these people in jail, which I think is a mistake for certain drug crimes, give them treatment. That's what I thought it was. And there was a judge who says, well, the best, I guess, punishment, solution, or whatever for this particular person is treatment versus throwing them in jail. That's
Or for some people, they will get the choice. They'll be like, you can either go into drug court and be involved in the program, or you can go to jail.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
I learned
welcome. I
something.
taught you something today.
You teach me a lot of things.
So, back on topic of, since we get off topic a lot, that's me and you.
It's going to happen.
Oh gosh. iPads in classrooms.
Okay.
I've heard you kind of
I,
not get upset, but just kind of be like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. We know it's the reality. It's iPads are what people are going to use. I'm not saying that properly. The problem I have with it is that it's so easy for a 14-year-old to be distracted by what can be on the iPad, in that it's absolutely this wonderful tool. There's apps that can make my job easier. They can submit, their assignments into digital folders, and rather than, me collecting 15 papers, and it's on my computer iPad, and I can correct them from my iPad. The problem I found is that it's hard for me to monitor what they're doing. If they're allowed to have the iPad in front of them, well, how do I know they're not playing a video game while I'm up there, while they're supposed to be?
But I wonder, my question with that is, you're responsible for yourself.
Right.
And isn't it a good way for you to learn self-monitoring? And wow, if I don't sit here and listen and I'm on my iPad playing a game, I'm not going to learn the material. I'm going to fail the test. I may not pass this class.
Absolutely. But let's look at it a different way. Of course, you want to keep the students accountable, and that's my job as well. At the same time, I'm not sure that one person, how do I say this? I don't think some of these kids can handle it, meaning they don't mind getting a C or a D.
Or they don't realize the consequences
They
that will
don't. They're
happen
14.
later.
I mean, they're
That's true.
Um,
Your frontal lobes aren't really developed all the way
yeah,
yet.
and so I'd like to say, if you don't do the work or you don't pay attention, it's going to hurt you. But I'm an adult telling them that, it's not resonating. They say, I'm just going to keep playing this game. For example, I thought, and I might be wrong, but if we just disallowed the downloading of games on the iPads, I'm sure the technology's there. I'm not.
Well, that was
I'm
gonna
a
be my next
dinosaur.
question. I'll ask that to you
Right.
after.
We gave the kids the iPads. So say that's the only platform they can use, right? But now kids can use their cell phones or smartphones. But if we give them the iPad and we said, hey, look, no downloading games. Find ways you cannot download games. You can only download the programs that the school, like Shobi, Notability, only the tools that you're going to use in a classroom. And you don't allow messaging, all right? So you can access your textbook and Shobi or whatever. But instead, we say
I'm
no.
going to cut you off really quickly.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to
you
go to
should.
commercial
Okay.
because this is a good place and we're going to
Yeah.
dive into this. This is the Empower Hour. I'm your host, Maya Scarpino. I'm here with Woodie Milks. We'll be right back, guys.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance. Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Aloha, Yappers. This is your host, Kingsley, for the Yap Show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us here live, ThinkTech Hawaii, and then later on, we upload to our YouTube channel. We talk about youth issues, policies, youth programs, and how to transition yourself into adulthood.
But this was like a sign, I guess. Hey, life's like, hey,
Right.
now's your chance to go back to school, which I'm doing.
Catch us here again live, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon. And on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Empower Hour. I'm your host, Miley Scarpino. I am here with Woodie Milks. He's no longer an AP Gov teacher. He's a U.S. history teacher and teacher of something I was never in.
Your freshman year, History of the Modern World?
I don't remember that. I was with Mr. Koshiba.
Hey.
No.
Hey.
Okay,
We're not going to mention names.
No names, apparently.
No names, yeah. History of the Modern World to freshmen, and currently teaching juniors, but next year I'll be teaching them the U.S. history course to sophomores. And before we went to break,
we were talking about
Right.
iPads and how
Yeah.
technology is affecting the classroom.
yeah. And if I have a hard time articulating how I feel about it, it's because it really is new to a lot of us.
It's a
at the
new
school.
territory.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's going to take time to make the adjustment. I'm kind of one of these guys that like screams at the wind because I just don't like what I see technology doing to some people's social skills. Like, you know, when you go to a restaurant and you see 4 people at the table and all 4 people are staring at their phones.
Isn't it ironic? It's like you're here to interact with each
Yeah.
other and be social and share your day, and instead you're not even present.
Yeah, and I know it's good. Some parents, they want some quiet time from their kids, but if the kids are on the iPad instead of talking to their parents, then I don't think some young people are being socialized to talk to adults or speak with them. We were talking outside earlier about being able to read people's cues, you know, how interested they are about how they look at you or their facial reactions to things you say. I think kids are because of the iPads, because of technology, they're not as exposed to other people on a real, you know, face-to-face
And
basis.
on a regular basis.
On a regular basis. And I don't think a lot of kids, young people, are getting the same amount of wisdom by hanging out or spending time with people who are older than them. So I find rather than this technology being, oh, it's, you know, it's liberating, it's opening up the whole world, believe it or not, I think it's actually compressing a lot of them to a smaller world and not allowing them or giving them opportunities to have conversations with people who are not of their cohort. Because if you absolutely can always find the 14-year-old to talk to, and not even talking, you know, texting,
Right.
whatever, then you can kind of narrow cast that way. You're only going to hang out with 14-year-olds. Whereas if you don't have the technology, you're walking around and maybe you say hi to someone, you talk to them, you interact that way. So that's one of the things I don't like about it. It scares me. I mean, it kind of depresses me.
Why does it scare you? What do you think it could like affect in the future?
Well, I'm sure every teacher that's ever come along for the last, 100, 200 years, every year the teachers always say, oh, the kids aren't as smart as they used to be. The kids aren't as smart as they used to be. And I'm starting to agree with them. It seems like the kids just don't have the ability to retain information. Now, that being said, they don't need to retain any information because they can just look it up on the iPad or look it up on the internet. But I think there's a certain skill or a certain importance to retaining information. My dad and I were talking yesterday, and we want kids to think outside the box, right? But thinking inside the box is important too, and let's not forget that the box is where most people are, and to have the ability to live in that world is important. Yeah, you need to think outside the box.
But to some degree, do you think that in my personal opinion, I feel like some of the stuff you learn in school, it's not necessary. And you spend a large portion of your time memorizing and learning things that you leave that class, you're done with it for the year, and you don't revisit that ever again, or you don't really use it.
Yeah, you hear that all the time in teaching, like, well, what's the point of this? What's the purpose? Sometimes it's to be exposed to something else.
Okay.
Very few people are going to use calculus or trigonometry, but maybe in trying to learn those things, you learned other skills, or you understood hopefully the concepts behind it, why those things are important, acceleration, or figuring out why engineers need to know this stuff. And you're saying, oh, I don't use it, so why did I need to learn it in high school? But at the time, you were 14 or 15, you didn't know whether or not
And
it would
maybe it
interest
could
you.
possibly be an interest to me, and I would never know unless I actually tried it.
Right, and
Okay.
you know, you put 15 kids in a biology classroom, and 2 or 3, they read about DNA or they do an experiment on a frog, and they're jazzed by that. Now you're going, oh, this is a waste of my time. For those 2 or 3 kids, they might be your doctor.
Right.
20 years from now,
That's
you
true.
want
I
them
never thought about
You
that.
want them learning the biology or the chemistry, right? Right. So, you know, schools are good about hopefully providing those opportunities for kids to find their passion, right? So, like PE, you know, some kids go, why? This is a waste of my time, but no.
I think PE is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, say, hey, it's not only for your health, but, you know, expose you to running or
Different
softball or other
sports.
sports to gain an appreciation for it,
Yeah.
right? Like to see the beauty of how talented these baseball players are, or even a runner, the dedication of a runner. Like that's to be exposed to that in a PE class. And some kid who's getting straight A's in biology, they go, well, why am I in PE? I'm never going to run when I get older. But, you know, it's exposure. I think it's important too. I was reading something the other day about, you know, if you find a way to make every topic real to a kid. So a lot of courses, the teacher should have at some point tried to show the connection to their own lives. And what I like to do in my history classes a lot is talk about money, right? Because a lot of the decisions that were made in history, a lot of the things that happen are driven by money and economics, right? And, you know, whether it's trade, and I think as kids start to get it, right? They're, you know, paying my mortgage, or how the government incentivizes people buying a house, or, you know, what is interest, what the Fed does. I think if more Americans had an awareness or exposure to that, then our government would work better, right? And then I think people, they get interested in that when it affects their pocketbooks, or when
it's applicable and it's real.
Yeah. You know, a lot of kids, you know, I think Eli does a good job of having courses about economics and money management and entrepreneurial skills. And so kids start to see how the world works.
Really functions.
You know, my parents I think they did a good job. They're awesome. But when I went to college, I was irresponsible with credit cards. And I think that had someone explained it to me a little bit better growing up, I may have been more responsible. Who knows? I probably still would have bought those boots. Who buys boots?
Nobody
Me.
buys boots.
Yeah, I bought boots. Cowboy boots. $500 cowboy boots. What are we talking about now? Let's get back on. Who's in charge here? What?
That's a horrible decision. 500. You heard it just.
This
from
was
him.
1991, and cowboy boots were very, very popular back
Nobody
then.
needs a $500 pair of cowboy boots. Anyways,
Tony Lama, lizard stand.
so when talking about technology and like the iPads in the classroom,
Yes, that's why we're here.
yes.
Okay.
We talked about a lot of the negatives. Do you see any positives? We talked about a few positives, but
Oh, absolutely.
what
Yeah.
if there was like an app? This is what I was gonna ask you. Is there anything where all of the iPads can be monitored from a base on your computer?
I hope not.
And
No,
then
no.
you could see
Yeah.
who's playing what or who's doing what, and they could get points deducted or.
Fine, yes, there are things like that. But I don't want to spend my time being the big brother, you know, punishing. I want to talk about my subject, not my topic. But yeah,
You want to teach, not babysit.
correct.
Type of thing.
Yeah, and to answer the first part of your question, there absolutely are benefits and positives to this. The mobility, the convenience, the efficiency created by the iPad, I think is changed things a lot.
And do your students download their books on their iPad too?
Oh, yeah,
or?
yeah.
Okay.
But what I found is, and I'm kind of a dinosaur, I like books. I like being able to highlight in them and write in them and hold them. I like the smell of them, the feel of them. Some kids I'm finding don't like having their textbook on the iPad because it's actually not that easy to quickly
I don't like it.
get to a page. There's something real about holding it in your hand and seeing the black ink on white paper. So yeah, kids do download their text onto their iPad, and for some of them it works. And it's cheaper. right?
Yeah,
Right.
majority of the time it is cheaper.
Because textbooks are extremely expensive.
And it's easier because then you have everything in one place.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about bringing all your books to class or, oh, I forgot this one at home or.
Yeah, you don't have to be that kid that has the little
The
like
rolly
yeah,
backpack.
Yeah. When's your flight? Yeah. You know, those little pull. No, we got a bunch of those. Like they're backpacking, they've got their rolly
I
back.
used to trip over the
Yeah.
rollies. I'd be like walking and then I'd be like,
Yeah, in
oh
between
my
classes,
gosh.
you say, ta-tunk, 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 ta-tunk. Like, dude, you have a locker, use it. All right, back. So there's your benefit of the iPad right there. That kid will probably have a rolly bag anywhere. Yeah, he's the one doing very well in chemistry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. No, but clearly, I mean, access to internet too. I mean, it's great. I mean, the internet, I think, is a lot of fun. But the kids now, rather than having, like the whole idea, remember, like there would be a computer lab, right?
Yep.
But now kids are walking around with their computer lab.
So you don't need a computer lab.
Yeah, I mean, to print, maybe we have like a printing station now. But what I like is, you know, kids can now, 4 of them get together, 8 of them get together in pods or work on projects together and create that kind of collaborative thing going on where they don't necessarily all need to be huddled around one computer, one person on the keyboard. What I like too is, for example, peer editing a paper. Like they put it on a Google Doc, and again, if I get the terminology wrong, because I'm still kind of old school. But you know, if they're all editing a document, or for example, we did this as teachers in with the U.S. History group. We're trying to, you know, streamline our curriculum and make sure we're all teaching in the same way. And so we're all on this document. You can see, you know, Mel making the change here, like with the color and her name pops in. Like, oh my God, that's kind of cool, right? We're all working on this document together, and so there's definitely positives.
It's time saving. It saves you so much time.
Yeah. And how about this? One of the things I like about the technology too is my ability to communicate with my students. I can message them, hey, bring this to class, or, you know, you need to meet with me for some extra help, or I can blast out an article, hey, read this article, it's really interesting, and I don't have to make 34 photocopies and pass them out. They're not reading it, no, but it's the communication helps a lot with the messaging. I found that helps, you know. And I can even, it's instant because, and again, I railed against this earlier, but if I do need to see a kid 5 minutes from now, rather than a call slip and you got to find the kid on campus, finding a kid is instant, right? Because you go, come in my room now, or where are you? And bloop, it's just on their iPad, presuming they've charged it, or they didn't drop it, or leave it in the cafeteria.
That happens.
Amazing how I for my lunch duty, for lunch, I'm in the cafeteria every day. And you'd be surprised how many kids leave their iPads or their hydro flasks. I mean, they're kids, right? Every day, there's an iPad left behind.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm sure a few $100s, if not more. But yeah, every day, kids leaving them. They break. I mean, but the fears we had about breakage and theft and loss have not come true. I mean, the kids are pretty good about it. The worst case scenarios have not come true. The staff with the technology at Elon is doing a very good job, in my opinion, of supporting the iPads, right? I feel like the support is there. But the difficulty is, and we saw this coming, will be how do you deal with distractions? How do you deal with kids being addicted to video games? Or how about this? The kids are using apps and programs that I might not be familiar with. So do I need to learn all of these programs and apps too?
Yes.
Because I should, but I don't necessarily want to, right?
Well, with that, guys, we have to end. Your segment's up.
Really?
You can always come back and talk again. You'll probably
Maybe.
skip that because you're nervous on camera.
Yeah,
But
very nervous on camera. This was very difficult for me. It was.
he did a good job. You did a good job.
Yeah. My hands aren't sweating that much.
No, I can see a little bit of beadage
Really?
right here on your nose.
Where's makeup? No, I need more powder.
This is the Empower Hour, guys. Have a great Friday tonight. I was here with Woodie Milks. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.